It's noon on Wall Street. It's noon on Wall Street. The Dow is still raging at 26.5. Bitcoin still over 9,000. It's a terrific Tuesday, and Liquid Lunch is open for business. Hey, welcome to this terrific Tuesday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco, coming to you today live as usual, high atop the financial capital of the world, right across the street from the New York Stock Exchange, where the stock market continues to rage. I said last week above 26,000 on Friday, could rocket it right to 27. As we speak at this moment, the Dow is at 26.5, and to me heading higher, but there are some tensions out there with Iran that we're going to talk about later, and all this geopolitical stuff scares the crap out of people who love certainty and not uncertainty. And Bitcoin also, we talked about some simple technicals that if it broke through 8,000, got a little support there in the 8,000s, it could rocket right to 9,000. Today, 9,030, still holding that 9,000 mark, and above there it could go to 10. Through 10, it's double digits. These are all new technicals that we'll talk about. Plenty more, and when you really want to get technical, you sit next to Frank Morano, who joins me again. As usual, he is the managing editor of Liquid Lunch, my co-host, co-executive producer, compadre. Thank you. Happy afternoon.
Happy afternoon for those of you celebrating on the East Coast. For the rest of you, good morning, good morning, good morning. A lot happening in the news. John alluded to some of it. Let's have a look at what's happening in the news around the world, around the country, from the man who always tells it like it is, me. The United States is sending 1,000 more troops to the Middle East to counter threats posed by Iran. Acting Defense Secretary Pat Shanahan said yesterday the soldiers will be deployed for, quote, defensive purposes against possible threats from Iran. Tensions have been rising between the United States and Iran in recent weeks, but Shanahan insists that the U.S. doesn't seek war with Iran. Nothing like sending 1,500 troops to tell a country you don't want war. In the past week, the United States has blamed Iran for attacks on 2 oil tankers in the Gulf of Oman. Iran has denied responsibility for the attacks, and the company that owns the Japanese tanker has questioned the official story from Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. President Trump will formally announce his re-election campaign in Orlando tonight. He won Florida in 2016, and the Sunshine State is high on the radar for the Trump campaign in 2020. Police in Orlando are bracing for large crowds of Trump supporters in and around the Amway Center and protesters. And finally, Harvard is rescinding admission to a survivor of last year's Parkland, Florida high school shooting. Harvard pulled Kyle Kashev's admission because of racist comments he apparently made online 2 years ago. Kashev announced the school's decision on Twitter, saying he apologized after screenshots of supposedly racist posts he made were released.
There's one thing you always do, Frankie, that's tell it like it is, that's for sure. And those frankly speaking, this guy works really hard on them. Like when I'm sleeping, I'm recovering from last night, he's up early, he's recording them, and that's what he does for you.
Well, speaking of recovery, John, when I walked into the studio today, I thought maybe I'd been drinking a little too much, because it's almost like the mirror universe version of the Enterprise. We walk in, and it looks like our studio. There's some snakes on the wall, but it's not quite our studio. What gives with the redecorating today,
All right,
John?
so yeah, maybe I should explain to our audience what's happening here. They're seeing something, a new studio, and apparently Thursday and Friday we're going to be doing Liquid Lunch. Let me hang up on this caller on hold. We have so many callers on hold. Liquid Lunch is going to be coming to you on Thursday and Friday from Newsmax headquarters studios right here in New York. We're going to have all the suits, all the bosses are going to be there watching us like hawks. And if we do good, on Monday we're going to be in a brand new, huge studio. Details to follow. But I guess the word got out. Some looters broke into our humble studio here last night, and this is literally what we walked into this morning.
Wow. Well,
we don't have that yet. Okay, we don't have the surveillance footage just yet.
Fair enough.
Coming to you a little later in the show, but the studio was trashed. Some people came in, took some crap. All's well, the show must go on, and you're not going to believe it, but next week, Frankie and I may be on Broadway.
Well, like selling sandwiches or something? What do you mean on Broadway?
On New Studio, if we hit it big, we're going to be on Broadway, moving on up.
We're looking for
Jefferson
a vendor.
Style.
We're looking for a vendor that will take cryptocurrency to allow us to rent. But so far, we haven't had much luck. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to accept crypto, but you, our viewers, are going to always be able to accept crypto by joining the ABBC Coin Foundation giveaway, where you win rewards in cryptocurrency in ABBC coin for simply being a friend of the show, joining the Lunch Bunch. And so there's new rules. Last week was our first week. It was great. We had 4 winners. We had Erin from Florida. We had Anna from New Jersey. We had Sayumi from North Korea. We had Mustafa, from Dubai. Yeah. People from around the world winning coins. They're getting their wallets. Their money's coming to them. And every week we're going to be doing stuff like that right here on the show. But the number one thing you must do to win rewards in cryptocurrency is you have to go to the Liquid Lunch TV Instagram page and follow it. If you're not a follower, you are not eligible to proceed to the offer of the sweepstakes. Well,
there's a ton of crypto news today because of what Facebook is doing. We're going to get into it with Jim Awad in just a couple of minutes. But the big news with respect to politics has to do with what's happening in the Sunshine State. The president is officially kicking off his re-election, and we actually have, to give us an update right now, Kevin McCullough is in Orlando. Kevin McCullough is my colleague on AM 970 here in New York. Kevin, do we have you?
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
Good to hear you.
Kevin, we spare no expense. And
we have all the top-notch equipment.
Exactly. You're joining
us even believe it.
From Jason Levy's mobile phone, and we thank him for his contribution to this week's program. What's the scene like down there? What's happening?
Well, if I could describe where I'm standing, I'm about a block and a half away from where the president will actually be in about 5 hours. And what you are seeing right now is the gathering of already in excess of 50,000 people. Now, they only have 20,000 seats in the arena. There are 135,000 RSVPs that have been turned in. So this is going to be a big party.
Wow.
Hey, Kev, could you do us a solid? I know you always come on the show whenever we need you. Kevin is heard all around the country, but here in New York on AM 970, The Answer. Seen all the time on Fox News. He's often the one lucky guy. Kev, you know what the energy is down there, but you never see on the other news networks how packed it really is at Trump rallies. Can you get us some man on the street, real video of how deep the crowds are and how excited they are? We want to spread that word on Liquid Lunch.
No, I will actually try to do that. The problem is the crowds have swollen so much that they're now shutting down streets further and further away.
Excellent.
Frankie, you'll remember what it was like at the Cleveland RNC.
Sure.
Imagine that kind of congestion in a downtown city area around a major arena, but 3 times that size. That's what's happened to the metropolitan area of Orlando right now.
Well, it's going to be wild. Now, but I have to wonder, though, is it just mostly people wanting to be part of history? I mean, I think we have a pretty good idea of what the president's going to say tonight, that he's going to run for re-election and that everything's great and that the economy's doing well and our enemies are dying or he's working hard to protect the country. But that's something that I could just as easily watch at home. Why do 135,000 people, including yourself, feel compelled to be there in person?
Well, I'm here to be clear about it. I'm here because the campaign asked me to come down and cover it. In terms of the average attendee,
thank you, Mr. Roccavano.
I do think you have to ask the question: what is? Well, let me ask a parallel question. Do you think? Does anybody think that Kamala Harris showing up down here would attract any more than 300 or 500 people at such an event?
Well, look, I don't want to take anything away from her ability to draw a crowd, but there's nobody that
Or Pete Buttigieg or Bernie Sanders or anybody else. Right. What is the unique thing about Trump that makes this occur? And it's not just here. It was in Green Bay.
People love him. People love the economy. People love 3.6% unemployment. People like 3.2% growth, GDP growth. That's what people like.
In my view, I think it's, certainly we've had good economic times before, but people weren't filling stadiums like this for President Clinton. I think part of it is that President Trump is such an engaging, entertaining public speaker. There's a certain energy at his live performances, these rallies.
He tells it straight.
That's unlike anything else I've seen in politics.
Tells it straight. That's what I think. People like that.
Frankie, your boss and mine, Phil Boyce, was standing next to me just a moment ago, and he said when we walked up to the main area outside the arena, he said, Kevin, this is bigger than the biggest rock concert jam festivals that you've ever seen. Wow. And it is. It has
so this
that
is like
feeling.
Woodstock.
Well, hopefully
This is Orlando stock. Trump stock.
Don't let President Trump do what Alan Keyes did and jump into a mosh pit.
Trump stock. I like that. Let's get that hashtag going.
I don't think I'll have any control over that, Frank. If he wants to go, he's going.
Kevin, best of luck to you. Stay safe, and we'll see you when you get back here.
Get us some photos, Kev. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you much.
All right. Now, let me tell you the real reason Kevin is in Orlando. We were together on Thursday, and we were talking about this Iranian situation, and he said, I'd be willing to bet within 48 hours there is going to be some facilities in Iran that are no longer standing. I said that's not going to happen. I said the president does not want a war with Iran for all the same reasons he said that during the campaign. And I said, I'll bet you lunch that if by this time on Tuesday there are no Iranian facilities that have been destroyed, you owe me lunch. He agreed. And now, lo and behold, I would have been owed lunch today. And Kevin is a man that will do absolutely anything to avoid buying lunch. That's right, including leaving the state.
He says it like it is.
That's right.
All the time.
Always.
But, he loves getting in these like international Iran things. So he sets up this whole lunch story with Kevin.
Oh, no, that's true. That's the God's honest truth.
About Iran.
That's right.
I'm not aware of any facilities that aren't standing.
That's right.
I know that there was a leak that 1,500 troops were deployed, which is going to put pressure on the markets that are right now raging. They're on fire. And I don't like it. But Trump said he was going to, everybody says we're a pro-Trump show. He said he was going to stay out of other countries. Right. He was going to protect our borders. He was going to bring military back from war zones and put them on the border if he needed to keep our sovereignty. That's what he should be doing. These hawks like John Bolton and these other guys, they should stay out of his ear. Or Mick Mulvaney should cough while they're talking because somebody needs to muffle these saber rattlers.
So who is pushing for war with Iraq? Well, the answer is, and including some of the personalities John just alluded to, the very same people that led us into war in Iraq, in Yemen, in Libya, and in Syria. How did it work out in all of those places? I hope President Trump doesn't allow the folks in his administration to control the policy agenda. He knows what he's doing. He has good instincts. He should not be listening to John Bolton.
I've been saying the same thing. I say the same thing every day. Liquid Lunch is where the purple people hang out. You come down, you have a drink, a little food. We talk it out. We shake hands. We part friends. Some purple people are coming up right after this to mix it up. Liquid Lunch, back after this.